Hey, what's up guys? Another knife review. This one's one of those cheap knives that you just love and you keep going back to. This is a Gerber Mini Remix 2. Okay, it's kind of a strange knife. It's pretty unique. Not a lot of people out there like Gerber knives. They think they're cheap. You know, you go to Walmart, it's what you find, Gerber knives. You know what? I think they're great knives. I think they're just fine for many people. Now, if you are a knife snob, and you're very much stuck on big companies and big names. Not that Gerber's a small company, they're a massive company, but they do make cheaper knives. Just because the price is low doesn't necessarily mean that it's crap. And this is one of those knives that is cheap, but I certainly love it just as much as some of the very expensive knives that I've had in the past. So again, this is the Mini Remix 2. This specific knife is no longer being made. There's many versions of it. They actually have a current version that's very, very similar to this, but there's slight alterations. But it's pretty unique. The biggest thing that stands out here, there's actually two things. One being an open frame or a single-sided frame, meaning that there's only one handle scale. The other scale is kind of just missing. And that huge hole in the pivot. It's really unique. It's very cool though. Right off the bat, I will tell you that even though I love this knife, I think that the regular Remix is a cooler version. I think it's more versatile with the blade style. I think overall it looks very cool. It does have a second scale on it. So if you're interested in this specific knife or this design, you may want to check that one out too. If I had a preference, I would definitely get the other one. But this was a part of a trade a long time ago. Used this knife a lot since I've had it. I mean a lot. Because I really wanted to test this open frame. And specifically, you know, when I grab this knife, I mean, naturally you want to put your finger in there. But sometimes I'll grab it like this. You know, you're not forced to do that. It's not like you have to, otherwise it's not going to work. But being open like this and having this liner lock just so exposed. I mean, I really thought that if my grip would come in and just kind of push that down and unlock the blade, you know. But honestly, with normal use, not trying to do it on purpose, I've never had a problem. And I usually do stick my finger in there. And my fingers, my hands aren't huge, but they're not tiny either. So my fingers naturally wrap around to this kind of top piece here. And the purpose of that piece is basically to hide the blade so you don't cut yourself in the pocket so it's not exposed. But anyway, let's start off with some specs on this knife. The blade is 2 inches long. It is a Wharncliffe blade. The top has a very much kind of a rounded straight razor type feel to it. Now the blade steel on this was never specified. Not by Gerber, not by, you know, most websites, dealers and so forth. They'll copy and paste the manufacturer's specs. So you can't find what kind of blade steel is used on this anywhere. I can tell you though, on their Remix tactical model, they use a 7 CR17 MOV, which is just an alteration on other steels that are very similar to it. I've never specifically had a 7 CR17 MOV. I've had, you know, 8 CR13 MOVs and all kinds of variations. They're all basically in the same family there. I can tell you though that this it holds a decent edge. It's nothing like, you know, VG10 or S30V or 154 or anything like that. It is on the softer side. But when this when you sharpen this and strop it up, man, it holds it doesn't hold a fantastic edge, but it takes a fantastic edge. I got some paper here. It's been a while since I did a little slicing on a review. Just want to show you how awesomely sharp you can get this knife. There's no resistance at all in this. I'll do a little 2-finger hold here. I mean, it's scalpel sharp. You can use this as if it was a regular straight razor, you know, to shave your face. Absolutely amazing. So, just because it's a cheap steel or a cheap knife, by the way, this is going to cost you roughly $17 to $20. If you find this one, again, you'd have to search for the Mini Remix 2, but there's many varieties of this knife out there. In fact, they have one right now which is like 20 to 25, and it has 2 blades as a specific, you know, dedicated serrated blade and a plain edge blade, which is pretty cool. You know, if you want to just grab that serrated blade out for when you're cutting something real fibrous and keep the straight edge for something that's better suited for a straight edge. But anyway, I mean, I'm really, really impressed by the blade steel's capability of taking such a fine edge. I mean, a lot of times with the softer steels, it's very hard to get a knife to actually get that sharp. So anyway, very impressed by that. Again, a sub $20 knife, which I think a lot of people are interested in. I'm trying to review more of these knives that I've had for a long time that are cheaper. A lot of times I tend to think that people want to see, you know, the $100 Spydercos and, you know, the Benchmades and the more expensive knives that are gaining popularity. But you know what? At the end of the day, the majority of you may like these knives. Some of you may buy them. But a lot of you guys are going to end up with stuff like this. You might go get a Walmart special. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. If you could sharpen your knives and maintain them and take care of them, you know, they're going to serve you well. They're not as good as the expensive knives in a lot of different respects, okay? Obviously, the overall fit and finish, the materials, you know, when you do pay a lot of money for a knife, the majority of the time, you do get a better knife, you know? However, like I said, for most people, they don't really know the difference, or they don't care. Maybe they do know the difference, you're very knowledgeable in knives, but you know what? You like those 100, 200, 300 knives for your collection, but you don't necessarily like taking them out and scratching them up. This is one you can take out, scratch up, get extremely, extremely sharp. This is stropped, by the way, which you should do with all your knives. But yeah, I was just very impressed by that. So anyway, again, kind of a mystery steel. I'm going to guess it's on the softer side just because it will not hold an edge very well. With constant use, I find that after about 3 days of sharpening this without stropping, it does get pretty dull. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You do want to maintain your knives. But if you strop them up at the end of the day, and I do have videos on stropping and so forth, you invest $20 or $30 in a nice strop, you know, $5 for some stropping compound, and you're good to go. That works with all of your knives, not just cheap ones. Anyway, overall size on this is 5.5 inches, okay, enclosed, looking at 3.5 inches. The weight on this is 2.2 ounces, okay? Obviously you're missing a scale here, so that should help on weight. But you know what? It's still got some heft to it. It's got some definite solid feel. The frame is all stainless except for this one piece right here, okay, which is aluminum. As I said, you know, this is just to hold your blade edge so it's not exposed. You see the cutout there? All right, so that's the purpose of that. So this way, you know, it's in your pocket, you can rub it or, you know, touch it anyway. If you reach into your pocket, if you choose not to clip it, which it does have a clip, you're not going to cut yourself. Okay, so it's a very purposeful piece. Some open frame knives do not have this, and that's usually because they are chisel ground. Okay, and the flat side is usually up against the frame. So although you could cut yourself, it's very hard to actually get in there and cut yourself. This does not have a chisel grind on it. It has a traditional, you know, V ground blade. So I think it's very necessary to have that piece. When I do grab this knife, like I said, most of the time I do stick my finger through that huge open pivot, which is very cool. This gives you such a secure feel. A lot of times we're talking about jimping and grip and texture and all this stuff for knife reviews because, you know what, someone who uses their knife on a regular basis or uses it hard, you want to make sure you don't slip out of your hand. Obviously you don't want to drop your knife and perhaps break it. You don't want to cut yourself or cut anyone else. So grip is a lot of, you know, very important to a lot of people. It's a big factor. There's no jimping on this. The whole thing's smooth, but I can tell you, once you stick a finger through there, it's not going to go anywhere. You can, I mean, I don't care what you're doing with this knife, finger through the hole, and even a half grip, you can lightly just put your fingers, it's not going to fall out, it's not going anywhere. Unless your finger breaks off, you know, or something like that happens, it's extremely secure. And I can tell you, when I put my finger through here, I just basically put it to the first knuckle. Okay, to here, I don't stick my finger all the way through. First off, because you can see all the fat binds up, doesn't fit. Pinky, that fits, kind of. But you wouldn't want to anyway. I think it would be uncomfortable because of how you're actually going to grip it. But I just put it basically that first knuckle, and it works beautifully. You can, you know, rip open boxes fairly easily with this. There is no point on this, and this is why I say if you're interested in this design, you may want to look at the you know, the regular remix, because it has kind of a drop point blade and a nice acute point on it. So it is more versatile. You're losing the capability of penetration when you go with something like this kind of straight up Wharncliffe blade. Or excuse me, not Wharncliffe, sheepsfoot. What am I saying? Wharncliffe has more of a gradual drop to the tip. Has a flat edge, like a razor. But yes, this is a sheepsfoot. That's my mistake. Sorry if I started off calling it a Wharncliffe. There is a big difference. Sheepsfoot blade. That is what you'll see a lot of rescue type knives, because again, when you're cutting someone out or cutting material close to a body, you don't want to accidentally poke that tip into the skin, which is very easy to do in a stressful situation like rescue workers have to work under. So anyway, yes, correction on myself. That is a sheepsfoot blade. So anyway, I think it's a great knife. I think it's very functional. Like I said, using this for at least 4 or 5 months now, I can tell you that there's no real way you're going to access that liner lock on accident, okay? It just doesn't happen. It's very awkward to have to put your finger right there, then put pressure on it because it kind of hurts the top of your finger here. It's not realistic. But here's the thing. Let's say you do accidentally release that. As the knife comes down, yes, you could cut the top of your finger here. Obviously, you're not going to cut the pointer finger. I can tell you, it was hard to get used to this knife. Now, I've oiled this, but even after oiling it, the ball bearing in here is very deep. Okay, so when the knife is closed, see it'll suck in a little bit right there. It's a very deep detent, okay? So it takes quite a bit of pressure to open that. And just, one hand opening just how you normally would. I did slip off once, and I cut myself pretty good. And there's actually still some dried blood, I think, on the blade, little specks here and there. Yeah, so it definitely bit me pretty good. And I was like, oh my God, because I usually don't cut myself. I'm pretty good about that. But just in trying to open it real quick, get it out for something. And you can use this, the pivot ring area to kind of brace it. And then of course on most knives that are smaller, I'll end up using the pocket clip if it has one to hold onto for grip as I'm opening the blade. Okay, so between the two, you should get a fairly easy, grip on that to open and close it. But just in quickly grabbing it, not really having a good grip on it, just went to open it and just went and slipped a little bit and cut my thumb. So just, be careful like any knife, That came out weird, knife. That's like when I want to say knives and knife at the same time, it comes out strange. But anyway, like I said, I'm very impressed with the steel on this. The price is fantastic. I like the innovative design. It's funky. It's pretty cool. The hardware on here are Torx bits. Okay, if you wanted to take this part off here, I don't really see why you'd want to take this knife apart. Honestly, I just don't see a reason to do that. But if you want to clean the pivot, if it got really gunked up, you could see how there's notches around here. You'd want to take some needle nose pliers and put one side in the notch and the other side of the notch, and then actually turn this. And it's a giant screw that way, and that's how that works. You might have to brace, I never took this apart, but I'm just telling you if you wanted to, you'd have to brace the back maybe with a second pair of pliers or something. All right, there's obviously no pivot screw, okay, because there's a hole, but that's how you do it. It's like a big ring, and that'll unscrew, and then you can get into your washers and stuff if you wanted to really clean it out. But like I said, even with oiling this a little bit, it's not that the blade is gunky, because it's pretty smooth once I open it. It's just the fact that the detent is so deep, that initial opening, you have to kind of pop it. You hear that. So anyway, pretty cool knife though. I really like it. Like I said, it's innovative, it's funky, it's cool. Definitely gets a lot of looks, anyone who can appreciate knives, if you take this out to cut something, go, oh, that's pretty cool. What kind of knife is that? And you go, oh, it's just a cheap Gerber. Pocket clip, very functional. If anything, it's just a little loose. You could fix this by just pressing down, taking the clip off the knife first of all, and just getting some pliers and just pushing down here where the bend is, just a little bit if you want a tighter fit. But I happen to like this because if I'm wearing thicker pants, it accepts it pretty easily. I did find that if I'm wearing sweatpants, like around the house or something, or even cargos, that the way the clip was, brand new, I got it used from someone in a trade, but it was barely used. So I'm assuming this is how you get it new. It was just a little bit loose, it wasn't gonna fall out, but I didn't like the feeling. I like my clips kind of not too tight, but just secure. It didn't feel secure like that, brand new. Pretty cool knife though. I like it. I think it's worth checking out. Again, if you're looking for a new knife score, but you just don't have 50 bucks or 100 bucks or $300, this is definitely something you might want to check out. It's pretty cool. So that's my review of the Gerber Mini Remix 2. Definitely, like I said, check out the other models as well. You could find them on Amazon, some other websites. Plenty of websites out there do carry Gerber knives, and a lot of times you'll find deals on them because I don't think they sell as good as some of the other, I don't want to say more known brands, because Gerber's a very known brand. But like I said, these are knives you can walk into common stores like Walmart and find. You don't have to necessarily go on some kind of an internet hunt for them to track them down. They're everywhere. So that's pretty cool. So it's very easy to obtain. So anyway, just want to show you another cool cheap knife. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.